If you guys enjoy this video, hit subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to get these videos as soon as they launch. What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet, and I'm sure you've already heard of this, but I wanted to talk about it anyway. It looks like Activision Blizzard is set to lay off hundreds of employees. I guess maybe we don't all have phones after all. But according to Jason Schreier and a bunch of other sources, as of last Friday/Saturday, Activision is about to fire a bunch of people, and that's supposed to start tomorrow, Tuesday. But it was Bloomberg that reported the story on Friday, and even though people over the weekend have been trying to get Blizzard or Activision to talk about it, they are just not saying anything about it yet, so maybe we can keep our fingers crossed. But according to Jason Schreier, he's had a lot of Blizzard staff telling him that they were expecting the axe to fall sometime in February, probably the day of or day before the earnings call, which is Tuesday, February 12th. Now, while this obviously sucks for the people getting let go, the good news is we have a very, very resilient industry, and there's already people in the industry reaching out to people, working with Activision, working with Blizzard, telling them they've got a place at their companies, and I always love seeing that. And of course, if you've been paying attention, Blizzard developers and Activision developers alike have been seeing the writing on the wall, and they have jumped ship as early as this time last year. So, I mean, for the most part, the really talented developers have gone on to do other stuff. And if you've been paying attention to this channel this year, or gaming news in general, you'll know why Blizzard has been struggling. They've then had this whole cost-cutting initiative that they've been told to cut costs at any means, firing customer service people, and of course they've had their share of controversy when it comes to stuff like putting the beloved Diablo franchise on a cell phone rather than on a PC. But ignoring all the controversies, Blizzard's had an incredibly bad year because the latest World of Warcraft expansion is widely considered to be just a very bad expansion, and the numbers there are smaller than they've ever been. Hearthstone had the lead developer Ben Brode jump ship, and since he left, Hearthstone numbers are worse than they've ever been. Heroes of the Storm is now basically a dead game after getting its esports initiative completely gutted, and a lot of developers moved away. And then there's the beloved rooster that laid the golden egg of Overwatch, and somehow they've managed to mess up even Overwatch. And why they continued to add the occasional maps and the occasional arcade mode and the occasional character, they just did not continue to innovate with that game. It needed more cool stuff, and instead they focused on the cosmetics and the microtransactions with just a handful of actual content being added to that game, and that's not how you do a live service. They really needed to do more with that game, and unfortunately, the numbers for that are lower than they've ever been. And I guess if I'm being entirely honest, Overwatch has had more than its share of controversies in the last year, but that's another video for another time. And on the Activision side of things, when Bungie decided to take Destiny away from Activision, this was a huge blow to the company, because that's one of the tentpoles that was propping Activision up, not just for gamers who buy their games and play their games, but also for investors. And that's what all of this is about. It's about unhappy investors. But that move by Bungie is probably going to be where a lot of these staff cuts are going to come from, because Jason Schreier reports that Activision employed an entire team full of Destiny support staff. That's PR, marketing, social media, business, and so on. And those people now currently have not much of anything to do. There's been very few employment opportunities for the people at Activision who previously worked on Destiny. The good news there is that those people obviously have an existing relationship having worked on Destiny, and Bungie will need to hire people to do that. So hopefully the folks over at Bungie will do the right thing and pick up as many of those people as they can to continue to do that job for them. But the good news is for Activision and the people working for Activision, which is the only thing that's really important to me here, is actual human lives and actual human employees. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was one of the best-selling games of the year, and I'll admit their Blackout mode was very, very good. Now, I feel like a lot of the same players who would have invested in that have moved back to Fortnite or moved on to other games like Apex Legends, but I'm sure there's still plenty of people buying plenty of microtransactions and Black Ops 4 to keep them happy. But to give you an idea of what kind of year Activision's had, by the way, here they are at their peak at about $83, almost $84, and today we're down to about $40. So they've lost half their stock value in this year, and the bottom is nowhere in sight. And that's just 2018, because if you go back another year, if you go back to 2017, 2016, that's when we saw the death of another giant tentpole franchise for Activision, and that was the Skylanders series. So they've been taking a beating for quite a while. Now, as you can imagine, when these rumors started circulating on Friday, we saw a lot of people dipping out of the stock, and then here on Monday, we see them selling even further. So you can expect the stock to continue to drop throughout the week, especially after that earnings report on Tuesday. So the question is, what can we learn from this? And the answer is, well, I guess we don't all have phones. Or maybe that's just not where we want to play our games. Maybe the lesson is that Blizzard knew what it was doing before it got bought out by Activision, and older games like Warcraft 3 and Diablo 2 and World of Warcraft at its heyday was how you want to do these live service games, not with built-in microtransactions and absurd grinds and all kinds of garbage in those games, but just making really good games first and then monetizing it later. Or maybe the lesson is, if you are the head of a successful studio like Blizzard or any of the ones that EA has recently purchased, you definitely do not want to sell out to these big demons because they are just going to run you into the ground. Honestly, I think Blizzard would have been fine had they not sold to Activision. I really do. Or Destiny, for example. I think, obviously, Activision helped fund Destiny, so the game probably wouldn't have existed otherwise, but I do believe the game could have been even more successful had Bungie got to call the shots instead of the folks over at Activision determining how that game was monetized. I think without some of the terrible, terrible decisions that Destiny made, it could have been the World of Warcraft of those types of shooters. I think it could have been as popular as World of Warcraft. It might still, now that Bungie has exclusive control again. But I think the real lesson here is very simple. We shouldn't be designing video games to make infinite amounts of profits, unprojectable, unreachable levels of profits, and we shouldn't be promising those levels of profits for stockholders. We shouldn't be making video games for stockholders. We should be making video games for people who like video games. Because as Jim Sterling and Total Biscuit and a lot of other people used to say, there's only so many gamers to go around, and those gamers only have so much money to spend, and we will spend money on a $60 title and sometimes throw you an extra 20 or 30 bucks, and sometimes you'll get lucky, and you'll find those players who are addicted to your game, like your Call of Duties, like your Battlefields, like your Fortnites, who will buy the Battle Pass every season, year in and year out, spending a few $100s on your games, but that is a limited resource, and when that limited resource runs out, your stocks tank, and your company goes under, and all of those beloved franchises that you own go with it. Can I get an F in chat, boys? But just maybe, had we not oversaturated the market with Toys to Life games, and maybe if we'd made a brand new Spyro game, maybe if we'd gotten a new mainline Diablo game, or a new mainline Warcraft game, or made World of Warcraft expansions good, or Hearthstone expansions good, or maybe we hadn't just run Overwatch into the ground with bad management, then maybe this company would still be worth what it was this time last year, which was about twice as much. But it is frustrating to see all these terrible management decisions lead to so many people losing their job, talented people. Now, the good news is the industry is filled with other competitors who will pick up these talented people, and they're going to be okay, but we will pour a Mountain Dew out for you in the meantime, guys. Now, that's just one man's opinion. I could be wrong, and if I got something wrong here, I want you to do me a favor. Let me know in the comments section below, and while you're down there, drop a like on this video, and if you enjoy this video or other videos like it, hit subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, hit that notification bell and let YouTube know that you would like to get notifications, even though the notification system is mostly broken, and you probably won't, but it's worth a try. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon.